You step into an elevator. The doors slide shut. There is another person inside, a complete stranger. And then, it hits you. The silence. Suddenly, the air feels heavy. The space feels too small. Your palms start to get slightly damp, and your heart beats a little faster. You stare at the flashing floor numbers as if they contain the secrets of the universe. You pull out your phone, scroll through old messages, or check the weather. Anything to look busy. You would do anything, say anything, just to break the quiet. Why? Why does a simple absence of sound feel like a slow, excruciating form of social torture? It is not just elevators. Think about how we live our lives today. We put on a podcast just to wash the dishes. We leave the television running in the background of an empty room, letting the voices of talk show hosts fill our homes. We fall asleep to white noise, rain sounds, or a 10-hour loop of ocean waves. We are a species terrified of silence. We treat it like a defect, a gap that must be filled immediately. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Your awkwardness in that elevator is not a social flaw. It is a survival mechanism. Imagine you are standing in the African savanna. It is 100,000 years ago. The sun has just set, and the prehistoric dark is closing in around your tribe. You are walking back to camp, carrying firewood. In the wild, nature is never quiet. It is a constant, chaotic symphony. Birds are calling, insects are buzzing, monkeys are chattering, and leaves are rustling in the wind. This is what evolutionary biologists call the acoustic baseline of safety. As long as the forest is making noise, it means the creatures around you are calm. The background noise is a continuous green light, a biological signal saying, "All clear." But then you take a step, and the sounds disappear. The birds stop singing. The insects go dead quiet. The monkeys freeze. There is only absolute, crushing silence. In that split second, your body reacts before your conscious mind even realizes what is happening. Your heart rate spikes. Your pupils dilate. Your muscles tense, ready to spring. Why? Because in the primeval world, sudden silence was the ultimate warning. It meant an apex predator, a leopard, a hyena, or a saber-toothed cat, was crouching in the tall grass, getting ready to strike. The entire ecosystem had frozen in terror, holding its breath to avoid being detected. This is the heart of what ecologists call the landscape of fear, a mental map of danger written in the sounds of the environment. If even one of your direct ancestors had ignored that sudden silence, if they had just kept walking, whistling a tune, they would have been prey. They would have died right there, and their genetic line would have ended. You only exist today because your ancestors had a brain that treated silence as a biological red light. So when the elevator goes quiet, your brain isn't thinking about polite conversation. On a deep biological level, your amygdala is screaming, "The birds have stopped singing! Something is hunting us!" The awkward feeling you get is not a sign of poor social skills. It is a 100,000-year-old alarm system hardwired into your biology. But how did this primal fear of silence transition from the wild savanna into our modern social lives? To understand that, we have to look at how humans communicate. Unlike most animals, humans are what anthropologists call cooperative breeders and obligate social cooperators. We cannot survive alone. In the Stone Age, being cast out of the tribe was an absolute death sentence. You couldn't build a shelter, hunt a mammoth, or defend against predators by yourself. Because of this, our brains evolved to be hypersensitive to social cues. We are constantly monitoring our status within the group, searching for signs of acceptance or rejection. And our primary tool for this is conversation. In 2011, psychologist Dr. Namke Koudenberg and her colleagues at the University of Groningen in the Netherlands decided to study this exact phenomenon. They wanted to know, how long does it take for silence to turn a normal conversation into a psychological threat? They placed participants in groups and had them engage in conversations. During these talks, the researchers introduced brief, controlled pauses of silence. The results were astonishingly consistent. If a pause in conversation lasted for just 4 seconds,
the participants' levels of anxiety surged. They reported feeling rejected, insecure, and excluded from the group. 4 seconds. That is all it takes for your brain to start questioning your social safety. Why does a silent pause trigger the feeling of rejection? In linguistics, there is a concept called turn-taking.
In Western cultures, the typical gap between speakers in a conversation is incredibly tiny, usually less than 200 milliseconds. It is almost instantaneous. This rapid back and forth is a sign of alignment, connection, and social flow. When a pause extends beyond that limit, your brain detects a glitch in the connection. It thinks, why aren't they responding? Did I say something wrong? Are they judging me? Are they pushing me out of the tribe? To your primitive brain, social exclusion feels exactly like being left in the dark with the leopards. So, to prevent that, we feel a desperate, anxious urge to fill the void. We talk about the weather, we tell bad jokes, we say, so, yeah, anything to hear the reassurance of human voices. But this biological alarm system doesn't just happen in your mind, it takes over your body's physical systems. When you experience an awkward silence, your brain's threat detector, the amygdala, fires an emergency signal to your hypothalamus.
This activates your sympathetic nervous system, initiating your fight or flight response. Your adrenal glands release a surge of cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate increases, pumping blood to your limbs. Your blood pressure rises. Your sweat glands activate, starting with your palms and forehead. Your body is literally preparing to fight off a predator or run for your life. And all of this is happening because you and a colleague ran out of things to say between the lobby and the 4th floor. It sounds ridiculous, but your biology does not know the difference between a physical threat and a social threat. To your nervous system, a threat to your social standing is a threat to your survival. Interestingly, this reaction is not universal. Anthropologists have found that our tolerance for silence is deeply cultural. For instance, in Scandinavian countries, or among many indigenous North American tribes, silence is not seen as a threat. In these cultures, long pauses in conversation are viewed as a sign of respect, thoughtfulness, and comfort. It shows that you are taking the time to consider the other person's words before speaking. But in busy, high-stress modern societies, we have lost this comfort. And this explains one of our most common modern habits, our obsession with background noise. Think about it. We live in the quietest, safest homes in human history. We have double-paned windows, insulated walls, and secure locks. Yet, we hate the quiet. We fill our houses with the sound of television shows we aren't even watching. We walk down the street with earbuds in, listening to podcasters banter. Why? Because when we are alone in a silent house, our brain's ancient threat detection system is still active. It scans the silence and wonders, why is it so quiet? Where is the pack? Is there danger? By playing a podcast or leaving the TV on, we are creating an artificial soundscape of safety. The voices of the hosts simulate the sounds of an active, healthy tribe. The background chatter tells our primitive brain, everyone is relaxed, people are talking, no predators are near, you can let your guard down. We aren't listening to podcasts because we are bored. We are listening to them to soothe our ancient paranoid nervous systems. For millions of years, our ancestors lived in a world where silence meant danger. But today, the world is louder than it has ever been. We are surrounded by the constant hum of engines, the beep of notifications, and the chatter of crowded cities. In the modern world, silence has become a rare luxury. People pay thousands of dollars to go on silent meditation retreats. We buy expensive noise-canceling headphones to block out the world. But when we finally get that quiet, when the city noise fades and the screens turn off, we often find that we don't know what to do with it. The silence feels heavy.
It forces us to listen to our own thoughts, our own anxieties, and the quiet hum of our own bodies. And for many of us, that is the most terrifying sound of all. So, the next time you find yourself in an elevator, staring at the floor numbers in agonizing silence with a stranger, don't feel bad. Don't worry that you are socially awkward or that you've lost the ability to connect. Look at that stranger, feel the tension in the air, and remember, your heart is beating faster because 100,000 years ago, a silent forest meant a predator was near. You are not failing a social test. You are passing an evolutionary one. Your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do.
keeping you alive. What do you think? Do you find comfort in silence, or do you always need background noise to stay calm? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to understand more about the hidden biological codes that run our daily lives, hit the subscribe button for Why We Do.